talk about this stock selection and stock buying. Uh, Sir, I need to tell first of all that there is a disclaimer that I am not SEBI registered. The information provided here is for education purpose only. I will not be responsible for any of your losses incurred with the stock suggestions. Please consult a financial advisor before taking any decisions. Due diligence is always required in investing. Thank you so much. My journey in the stock market is short. I started investing quite early. You can say that I opened my first PPF account. That was my first investment in 1999 when I started my MS, first year MS. So my first investment was into that only PPF. And I started PPF for all my children also whenever they were born, the first one, second one. So that was my first. Second investment I started was into the, obviously like everybody, I started LIC policies, which I regret now. Then I started in 2010 into the mutual fund. Mutual fund, I started into the regular ones. And I was not even aware of this direct concept and direct investing before I joined Eurofinance. After coming in touch with the Eurofinance and joining Eurofinance, then only I realized what is regular, what is direct, and what are the advantages of regular, direct mutual funds. And then gradually, I must say thanks to Amit and Sabni sir. Amit helped me a lot, Amit Gaur. He helped me a lot in shifting my mutual funds from regular to the direct. Now I am all into the direct. There is no regular mutual fund in my portfolio. And after that, once I was into the mutual fund transition phase, I learned this direct stock investing also through this our learned seniors in the Eurofinance group. So my learning has been through this self-help group of Eurofinance. We all are helping each other. I am so thankful to everybody in this group, especially Sabni sir, Kamal boss, Amit, everybody, Anish. Pramod sir was a great inspiration to start this my finance journey. Then I have been interacting with all these experts. And then I'm a voracious reader also. I have been reading a lot. I have read so many books during these 4-5 years, maybe more than 30-40 books, I can say. And one thing I have realized that most of the books, they tell you more or less the same thing. So I'll request everybody who is not into that WhatsApp group of Eurofinance and Equity, you must join our group so that you can also learn like me for your future endeavors. Next slide, please. So like in any science, I would say the principles are few, methods can be many. I mean, this slide is very close to my heart. And this is, हम इसको कहते हैं ये गागर में सागर वाली slide है. Just of everything, just of almost every book which I have read. So like if you take a simple analogy of P&L, so principles are very few in P&L. You need to know a calyx, you need to puncture the calyx, dilate the calyx, reach to the stone, break the stone, take out stone. So simple, only 4-5 principles. But methods are many. Somebody will be doing 30-degree puncture, 0-degree puncture, no degree puncture, ultrasound guided puncture, CM guided puncture, CT, and whatever the way you can. So there are many methods doing it, but principles are few. Similarly, in investing, these are the only principles which we must remember every time and follow these very diligently. First is risk profile assessment. Now, risk profile assessment means that suppose I cannot tolerate a 20% fall in my portfolio. So I should not go into the stock market investment, because we know that someday stocks will fall like anything, and then you might have a 20, 30, 40% fall within a short span of time. So if you cannot tolerate that, you should not be into it. You should be into the simple debt instruments. Similarly, asset allocation is very important. Do not put all your eggs in one basket of equity, gold, debt, or land anywhere. So you need to diversify into the multiple, these all three places, so that your money is safe at least when there is a rapid fall. Then knowing your financial goals is very important. Like my child is into higher education and I require every November I need around 18-20 lakh rupees for him. for his fees. So I cannot invest this money, which I need regularly every year in November, December into the some small cap fund, some small cap stock, something which is very speculative. I cannot. I need this money to into a very safe basket like some debt fund, some FD. That is right. So knowing your financial goals, when will you require this money which you are investing today? Maybe after 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. So unless you have a money you need after 3 to 5 years, you should not be into the direct equity investment. Similarly, securing yourself like adequate medical insurance, adequate term insurance, and indemnity insurance is must before you embark your journey into the investment. Uh, Emergency fund creation is again very important because if you are investing and suddenly some emergency arises, you are left with nothing other than breaking your compounding. So you might need to withdraw from equity, you might need to withdraw from your child's education fund. So that is something which is a very bad thing to happen during your investment journey. So do create emergency fund at least for 6 months, preferably for 1 year. I prefer 1 year. I have emergency fund for more than 1 year's requirement of my day-to-day expenditures. And once you have done this much of exercise, then only you should think of investing into the equity either through the mutual fund or direct stock investing. Now, to me, direct stock investing versus mutual fund is again how much time you can devote into the research, into the studies, into the following the market. Every day you need at least once in a week, you need to assess your portfolio stocks, assess everything. So unless you have that much of time, you should not jump into the direct stock investing. You can take and ultimately the end of the whole exercise is to get a good decent returns in double digits, say 13, 14, 15% returns if you can generate. That you can generate through the mutual fund also. You can generate through the stock. In stocks you can generate even better, 24, 25%, 26%. So if you are getting that then investment returns through the mutual funds and you don't have that much time, you are busy practitioner, you cannot, so you can stop here. बस एक point और रहेगा था पीछे, last slide. Kamal was. So now once you have reached to this level that stock, you have decided you want to go into this stock, then you should select first of all a stock either directly through your circle of competence or in this slide the last point is investable opportunity fund creation. Now today only we were talking what will happen if Modi loses, if the market crashes on the 4th, 5th June. So we are a long-term investor, I said. So we should have an opportunity fund, the fund which we can deploy during the market crash, during a opportunity, whenever opportunity arises. So that is an opportune time, opportunity fund should be there. Now, somebody will say, like some days back we were talking that how much opportunity fund you can have. कितना पैसा रख सकते हैं, 10 लाख, 20 लाख. Now, there I say like हम like we go into a buffet dinner. There is so much of plethora of things in the dinner. So, but you can't eat only up to your stomach capacity. Similarly, in the market, when opportunity which arise, but still there is a limit to the capital. Like Pramod sir has he has a 600 crore portfolio. He can have a 10% of portfolio 6 crore, but my portfolio is 20 lakhs. So for me, 2 lakhs is equal to the same value of 6 crore because that is a 10% of portfolio. So you should see in terms of percent figure, not in absolute terms. Absolute terms can be different for anybody. Somebody can have according to the fund. So once you have discussed with yourself, you have clarity in the mind that this is what I have done. Once you have created it, then you should go into the stock selection criteria. Yes, boss. So G boss, next slide. Kamal sir, I'm sorry I will be bothering you again and again.
Pratipal, next slide again, selecting stock for the portfolio.
जी sir, जी sir, जी sir, जी sir. So, so once we are decided that you want to go directly into the stock investment, then you should select portfolio stocks. Portfolio stocks you can select through your circle of competence or your group circle of competence. Like we have a very good group, equity group, where we get every day we get ideas of good stocks, fundamentally good stocks where you can invest. So either through your circle, but I would say don't borrow conviction. Initially you can take the help of the group, but gradually you should start developing your own conviction, your own studies, which should guide you to the stock selection. Because as I say, maybe it is difficult for somebody to guide you every day. So, but stocks must satisfy the criteria for portfolio stock. In next slide, we see the what are the criteria for the portfolio stock. Ji sir. Next slide, please. These are the some criteria of good stock. Like the though this is not the part of this talk, because we will have some other day some other talk for the stock selection criteria. But in general, these are the common criteria like a good quality management. We should know competent experience in promoters with good integrity. Promoter holding should be more than 50 to 70%. Companies should have economic moat and competitive advantage. Companies should have a large total addressable market, because unless it's a large market, growth will be limited. The revenue growth and return ratios are important, like ROAS, like cash flows, like rising sales, profit growth, ROE. These should be addressed and this should be seen. And debt to equity ratio should be all generally low. And the stock should be fair valued, not a very high valued stock. Presently, we have in the stock market some stocks have very high valuations, like PEs are running 300, 400. There we should take precautions. Auditors quality is very important, because auditors can change the whole balance sheet if they're not good, and contingent liabilities and related party transactions should also be seen. So these are some criteria which we must follow before we select a stock. Once we have selected a good stock, then comes the next slide, that how we should keep on buying and adding these stocks. So when we say when to buy, how to buy, when to buy, means that there is no best time to plant a tree. The plant a tree, best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and second best time is now. It's the Chinese proverb, very true, which says that even in every market there are the opportunities where you can invest. Even today's market, when which is all-time high, still there are the opportunities. So don't wait much. Next slide, sir. Like a legendary investor Warren Buffett says, I make no attempt to forecast market. My efforts are devoted to finding undervalued securities. So the point is that once you have selected a good fundamental stock, now you should be looking at this stock for an entry point. Entry point is whenever this is undervalued, you can enter into it and start accumulating it. So the time might change, but it might be today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow. Yes, sir. Next. Now, when we similarly, Mr. Peter Lynch is again a very legendary investor. He says, far more money has been lost by investors preparing for corrections or trying to anticipate corrections than has been lost in corrections themselves. So this means that we should not be waiting a lot for the corrections to happen, and then lot of money is lost on the sidelines. So once you are clear in your mind, then jump into the market, start accumulating the stocks gradually. Don't wait much. Next time, sir. Next slide was. So when to buy a stock? To me, there is no ideal time to buy a stock. Every stock will have a different times to buy, but there is no ideal time because you cannot predict where stock will go. So the time in the market is more important than timing the market, and we know it. Pramod sir is a big example for all of us that his time in the market has changed the things. So long-term buy and hold strategy is better for retail investors like us. Rather, and timing is better left for the professionals who are too good at timing the market. Otherwise, most of us, the retail investors, we cannot time the market. So it is better to buy and hold for a long term. Next slide, sir. Kamal sir. कमल सर
प्रतिपाल आप में थोड़ा डिले आ रहा है, मैं करता जाता हूँ साथ साथ में.
जी सर.
आप अब कर कैरी ऑन, प्लीज कैरी ऑन.
Okay sir. So what we say that build your portfolio gradually. Whenever you start buying stocks, do not buy in a huge amount. Buy gradually, start in a small tranches. Never be in a hurry because you cannot predict how stock will move. You can always buy at a later date. Like this, I have seen in many stocks. They give you multiple time for entry. Again and again, you will get time. So you win through the time in the market, not timing the market. You win through the discipline approach and patience. You need to wait for your stocks to grow. You need to wait to add stocks every sometime or other time. So the discipline will play. Ji sir, next. But still, as Junjunwala Saab said, the bhav bhagwan che, the price is God, because your returns depend on your buying price. The aim is buy cheap, sell high. Now, buy cheap means, Kamal sir, next. So cheap doesn't mean that it's a low price stock. Low price means we call them penny stocks. Like 5 रुपए, 10 रुपए, 15 रुपए का मतलब नहीं है, 5,000 का मतलब महंगा नहीं है. So we should the valuation of the stock. Valuations are seen through the P values of the stock, peg value of the stock, fair value, intrinsic value of the stock, gram number of stock, and all these can be seen through this ET Market app. It's a very simple app. It's a free version you can download, and you can make your own watch list on this. This is like my watch list. I've shared this small one. So here you will see the valuation. In the valuation, you know that this is a very high valued stock or low valued stock, cheap now. So that is how you can select your stock. Next slide, please. The another app which I use, come on, sir, next slide, is the Simply Wall Street. This Simply Wall Street, I have made my portfolio in this app. It's again a free stock. This tells you so many things about stocks. This tells you about the intrinsic value of stocks. This tells you about the future growth of stocks. This tells about the how much so this greener the circle. There is a green circle, green behind. I mean, just in front of this Ganul India. So greener it, better it. So that is one way you can keep on checking. So this will also keep you telling this updates your portfolio almost every day. So if you keep on checking only this app, you will know.
The volume. You're not audible. Dr. Pratipal has got disconnected. No, this will be an issue because we are jam-packed in the community, and I think so he won't be able to join back again. Let me see if I can. Anybody who is double in number can remove himself because Initially, I was in double number, so I removed myself to get an entry into it. So maybe.
Okay.
But a
Again,
lot of people will be in waiting room, sir. So that will be a problem.
yeah,
They will join. Yeah.
yeah, that is going to be a big issue. See, this is what happened. Pratipal is back with us. Please, Pratipal, carry on.
Okay, boss. Next slide, sir.
The previous you were 2-3
Can you
minutes
change
voice
it?
was
Yeah.
interrupted.
So no one knows the bottom or peak of the market or a stock. Many times we see so many technical indicators. Like I will give a very simple example. A few days back, we were discussing KNS technology. So the stock corrected, and I have this in my portfolio, KNS. So we thought this will come to 2400. Then we thought this can come to 2000 also. But suddenly, day before yesterday, Keynes jumped by 20% in a day. And yesterday again we jumped by 5%. In 2 days only, it had increased by 26%. And yesterday this got trading at around 3,000 rupees. So nobody knows the bottoms or peaks. They behave erratically in the short term. So better not to try to bottom fish. Keep on adding gradually if you have a very good conviction on a stock, because market is forward looking, as we were talking in the group today only. So with time the stocks will go up. Keep buying with a disciplined approach which suits you most, because everybody will have a different approach for himself or herself. So we should not follow anybody else's approach. We should have our own approach depending on how much capital we have, how much we can invest over the time, and at the same time how much time we can devote. So that is how we should develop our own approach. Sir, next. Kamal sir, next.
Change
So,
slide.
there are three ways of buying stocks. One is SIP buying a stock. Like every month, every week, every day, you have decided I will buy a fixed quantity of a stock. But I don't believe in this type of buying, because one of my senior here at Lucknow is doing SIP buying. I tell you, after 3 years, he has got a very good quality stocks in portfolio. After 3 years, his portfolio return is 9.5%. He has been doing SIP buying because he bought L&T at 3,800 also. He bought L&T at 3,300. So his return. So I don't believe in SIP buying actually. Second is dip buying. Dip buying is you wait for retracements which are generally 5 to 10%, and you add whenever there is a retracement, which keep on happening regularly with all stocks. And third is crash buying. The crash buying, you have an emergency fund. You have an opportunity fund with you, and whenever there is a crash in that stock or in that, like Polycab crashed. There is a small news about Polycab around 2 months back, and it crashed from 6,000 to 4,000. So if you have a very strong conviction, like I had, so I added Polycab. I tripled my investment into Polycab, and now it is again back to the 6,000. And yesterday only somebody was saying in the that it can touch 8,000 soon. So that is how conviction is important. So stocks can crash even without market crash. So that is important. So as Warren Buffett says, to be fearful when others are greedy, and to be greedy only when others are fearful. So whenever there is a crash, be greedy, accumulate stocks. Sir, next. Kamal sir.
Change slide. The rule of thirds is there.
Okay. It takes time for me to see that slide when it changed from here. So this is one way of adding stocks to your portfolio, that is pyramiding approach or rule of thirds. So they say divide your investable capital into three parts. Add first part at first go. Whenever you feel that this is the time for entry, you enter. Second of third part, you should enter after some time when you have seen a stock moving. And last third after few quarters, once you have seen that company has a positive earnings, new services launch, new acquisitions, promoter buying, etc., which will improve your conviction for that stock. Now, this method provides safety of margin, number one, because suppose some sooner or later you have got something, some news, some bad news about stock, so you can withdraw your funds. And available investable capital at the same time, because say certain there is a sudden fall in the market, so you have capital to utilize that opportunity. So this rule of thirds is a good rule to add your position into a stock. Next one.
Changed. This average up or average?
Average upper. So the other way is averaging up or averaging down the stocks. So there is no hard and fast rule. They say that generally you should not average down much your stocks. You should be averaging up your winners, because unless otherwise you will keep on averaging down and your portfolio returns will be low. So better you put more money on your winners rather than more money on your losers. Get rid of losers of your portfolio as soon as possible. If they're not performing over a year, maybe 2 years, then you should trim your at least allocation from those stocks if you are not absolutely exiting those stocks. Now, averaging down is important when there is a generalized fall in the market. There is a crash in the overall market, because then everything will go down. You can average your stocks. Or when a sector as a whole is under correction, like in today's scenario, IT is under correction, chemical is under correction. So you can add your positions in these stocks which are from these sectors if you have a very good conviction into these stocks, because this will be known as a contra buying, I think. Then price reacting to the overstretching or oversold situations, we know that with time the price will go up, then suddenly after a oversold situation, this will definitely come at least little down, which we call it retracement. So that is the situation when you can add. But during all these situations, you must understand that fundamentals of stock must remain intact. If there is something wrong with the fundamentals, then you should never average down your stock. Yes, sir. Next.
How I do it?
Now, how I do it. So this is how I have been. I have learned and I have been building up my portfolio over last 3 years. I bought my first stock in 2021 May, and now we are in 2024 May, and I gradually build up my portfolio. Last Saturday's market close, my portfolio is green by 70.2% now. So whatever I have invested has grown by 70%. So approach has been very simple. I call it KISS approach. I mean, it is described multiple places. Keep it simple, stupid. I take a small position in any stock I like, suppose, and then unless there is some sectoral tailwind, like in railway stocks, defense stocks, it's a strong tailwind. So you find it difficult to get them corrected in a recent. So it is better to take a good position in these stocks rather than a small position in these stocks with the sectoral tailwind. Then I follow the price on weekly chart. I start seeing weekly chart and I follow the chart. I generally find most of the stocks have a habit on that on the chart. So I call it habit. I mean, we call it, there are multiple technical terms, multiple jargons for all that. But in simple terms, you can call a habit of the stock on a chart. And I keep adding based on the pattern on chart over the time. Because we know we have a limited capital. Every month we get capital. It's not a one-time money we have. So keep earning. So keep investing, and depending on that chart fellow. In dividend stock, things are little different. This I have realized that in dividend stocks, they generally don't go much. They move little up, little down, little up, little down. Sometimes they'll double, sometimes they'll come back. So it is better to know the where these stocks generally come, to wait for that bottom. And at times it takes years to come to that bottom, and then do a lump sum buying in that bottom. Good example of this is Indian Oil. Pramod sir has given us multiple times that example of Indian Oil, and I mean, very keen to invest in Indian Oil, but that was the time in Indian Oil was running at 150, 160, and then gradually I knew, because if you look at the chart, it generally comes down. So it came to 65, 67, 70, and I had a lump sum buying at 67 rupees in Indian Oil. And now we know Indian Oil is running at again at 160, 170. And do not buy these dividend stocks before their X date of dividend, split or bonus. Generally, before bonus, before split, before dividend, they run fast. And once it is over, they come back to their original position. So it is better to wait till the bonus is, because dividend, we have to pay 30% tax also on the dividend. So it is better to buy after dividend. Yes, sir.
Changed.
Yes. It takes little time for me to see this slide, because आपके में जल्दी change होती है शायद. So now this is the chart which I was saying, the habit of our stock. If you look at this chart, these three lines, one is a 200 DMA line, one is the 50 DMA line, one is the 14 DMA line. So if you look at HDFC Bank since 2012 to the 2025, it hardly goes to the red line. Generally, it is between these two lines, upper two lines. So to me, the best opportunity is whenever it comes to the red line, because it never stays at red line for a long time. It generally bounces back from there. So I invested when it touched first time, and then I added when it came to the second time. So next slide, sir. Next example, we'll take example of Titan.
It's APL Apollo is coming.
APL Apollo, yes, sir. So if you look at APL Apollo, sir, APL Apollo has not come in last 4-5 years. It has never come to 200 DMA line. It generally comes back to the 50 DMA and goes back. So if I bought at this point, suppose 2021 I bought, then I added at 2022, again it came in 2023 at 50 DMA, and again it came. So that is how I will add. I will wait till my next deployment is like when it comes to this line. So that is how I keep adding at low levels. Next slide, sir.
Pidilite.
Pidilite, yes, sir. The same happens with the Pidilite. See, again, since 2018, we know Pidilite has not moved much. But if you look at this, still it has never come during this time. This is a bad time for the Pidilite. I think last 3-4 years has been not too good for Pidilite. But it has never touched the red line. So we don't expect this to come to this low. So whenever you find it below this purple line, like 50 DMA line, it is time to add more into your portfolio. Next, sir. Same happens with the Titan. Since 2018, hardly ever touched the red line. So again, every time I buy, I add whenever it comes to the purple line. So this is on the weekly chart. Next, sir.
Indian Oil.
Now, this is a classical dividend stock, Indian Oil. So this will move a lot. This will move a lot, and see how it moves. It keeps on coming to 200 DMA. So my deployment will be whenever it is below 200 deployment. So that is how I will get a good price. And because my investment in this Indian Oil is primarily for the dividend and bonuses. So I'll wait. Like today, I will not like to add into the Indian Oil, because this has gone too high. It was too high, say in 2022 also. So after that, so we know that we need to wait for a stock to touch to a bottom, which it usually touches to that bottom. So when not to buy a stock at the same time, avoid buying during euphoric state. and avoid news-based buying. So there are some examples for this, like euphoric states. Next, sir. Next, sir.
Clean sciences.
Yes, sir. Clean science technology. See, if we go back 2 years, 2022, everybody was after the chemical sector, and so many chemical stocks came as an IPO also, and it went like rocket to anywhere. So everybody was in the euphoria of chemicals. See where it is now. From 2800, it is moving at 1200 nowadays. So you have, I mean, anybody who has bought what they say भाव भगवान छे, अगर हमने इसे 2800 पे खरीदा होता तो मुझे पता नहीं कितने बरस लगेंगे मुझे वापस 2800 जाने में. So that is why you should avoid. Next slide was. Next is Tattva Chintan. Again, similar stock, chemical stock, and it also moved like anything. But see now what is happening. It is from 3000 levels to again 1200 levels, and still there is no bottom. It is still moving down. So that is how, I mean, euphoria we should, like nowadays there is euphoria of some stocks like renewables. I mean, we were talking about that Bari renewable. Bari renewable has moved 55,000 times in last 5 years, boss. 55,000 times. It reached to 3,000, now it is at 2,000, and we do not know where it will come, because it's an euphoria kind of statement of mind. So we should avoid those. Next is IRCTC. Now in IRCTC, see, when split was declared, I was in this stock at that point of time. So it raised to 6,000 level. At that time it was at 6,000. Then there was a split, and see, it is still not at that level. So that is how we should avoid euphoric states. Next slide was.
Subros.
Next is a very recent example. I mean, few months back, there was a news that all the truck cabins will be made air conditioned. So Subros rushed like anything, because Subros into that only. So, but then even within a month, if anybody would have bought Subros at 700 rupees, he had another chance to buy it at a 400 level. So you should not buy that news euphoric states. Always wait for the froth to settle down before you enter. You will definitely get another chance to buy. So I think that is all which I want to say about this. Next slide was. The last thing which I always say, don't jump into the sea because your friend knows swimming. You need to learn swimming first before you go into the sea, because your friend might be busy saving himself when tide comes. Thank you so much for your patience listening and giving me this choice. I mean, this opportunity to speak on this, my experience.
I will request Dr. Neeraj Agarwal, if sir is present at the forum, to kindly start the discussion. And we'll request expert comments from Dr. Pramod Rai, Dr. Pavan Kesarwani, Dr. Girdhar Bora, all to join in, please.
Thank you, Dr. Pratipal, for a beautiful discussion. Starting from the basics on to moving on to the specialization part of it. As you have rightly pointed out, the basic steps are very essential for any beginner as well as for any expert also. You've seen that many stocks, as you have shown, they have a market rise, a stupid rise, and then there is a fall. So selection of stocks, the timings and all is very, very important. And as you get experience into it, you would be able to do much better. I would ask Dr. Pratipal, how do you technically analyze a particular stock as to what would be its time of investment on?
Sir, I just said, when I see the technicals, I see MACD and RSI in most of the stocks. So I wait for that in the weekly chart, because in the weekly chart I don't see much into the daily chart, sir. Because I'm a long-term investor. I want to buy when it is in the oversold territory. I will add my stocks. So whenever they are in a oversold territory, then I start buying in tranches. Suppose I have to buy 20 stocks of Titan. for the next level of buying. Suppose I have 100 stocks and I want to make them 100 on 25. So whenever it will start coming into the oversold territory area, I'll start buying 5, 5, 5. So I may come down and go back. So I might make a kind of board trap pattern. I will buy in all levels, 3, 4 levels. So that is how I add, sir. Because gradually I have realized, sir, it is very difficult to predict where a stock will come. It is very difficult. Even the best people cannot predict. Otherwise, I think everybody would have made millions every day if they could have predicted.
Right. So is there any difference in buying for a long term and buying for swing trader? Like Pramaljit is an expert in this swing trading. So he can better influence. What is your style of buying and what is the difference if you want to play on a swing trading or you want to play it on a long-term investment?
Sir, I think rest Kamal sir will decide. I will tell us more. But to me, I think in the trading and the investing, in trading you keep a stop loss. In investing you don't keep a stop loss. To me, that is the most simple thing.
Right.
Because in trading you have to preserve your capital. In investing, I think it is a long-term investment. So you only need to see you need that the fundamentals are good of a stock.
So what's your take on this, Kamalji?
Sir, coming on to the second part of the question, which is directly at the trading part, is now this is where I changed my strategy from a trader to an investor. I usually invest a set pattern of money. What the Pratipal says is level of thirds and whatever is the third level is. I always invest in one portion. Let's say I invest 2 lakh rupees in any of the shares. In case it falls down, and I add on to more quantity. If it falls down more, then I add on to another third. I normally go up till 5 tranches. I can add a stock maximum up till 5. I have a specific budget which is lined up for every stock. Whenever I go for buying like this is. Like I recently did it in Varun Beverages. So I started at 1520. It fell down to 1360 and I kept on adding it to an extent that I had over 1,000 shares held into it. And one fine day, it again came back to 15, I think 38 or 1540, where I exited. And again, when it fell down, I again bought it. So I turned into very, I mean, kind of like a, you can say, a chameleon. I changed my color from a trader into investor very fast. And now recently, I have, like Pratipal has got 70% in last 3 years. But in last 2 months, my portfolio return is close to 28% of the total capital invested. This is, I'm telling you, I'm not disclosing that. I'm not taking that thing is, but I've seen Pratipal doing it over the years, and I have myself realized it that his way of doing is very methodical. And whenever I talk to him, he only tells me, sir, ये 50 moving average के पास जब आता है ना, मैं stock को पकड़ लेता हूँ. For anybody who's a beginner in the stock market, I must say that do adopt this principle of 50 moving average. Now, how does this 50 moving average on a weekly time frame works? Very good is there's a simple mathematical calculation. There are 52 weeks in an year. So any stock which comes on a weekly time frame to the 50 to 50 moving average is the correct time that it will now bounce back for after an yearly, you can say, retracement. Am I right, Dr. Pratipal?
Yes, boss. Yes, boss. Yes.
Now, regarding
stocks, they exhibit a very, very peculiar pattern on charts. Most of the stocks, they have a very peculiar pattern. They exhibit the same kind of pattern over the years. मैंने तो यही देखा है.
बिल्कुल.
Yes, sir.
Pratipal, I would like to know, when do you advise? Now, this is a very technical question, and I would like everybody to hear this part very carefully. Now, there are 2 crossovers which are very classically mentioned in the technical analysis, the golden crossover and the death crossover. When do you recommend to buy a stock? Now, we are negating that there is no negative news and there's no very big positive news. Now, we are not using any news pattern. Now, I'm asking you as an expert and to Dr. Pramod Rai, do you believe in golden crossovers and the death crossovers? And are they preached correctly in the market or not?
So generally, what I have seen when we follow the, we don't follow them on weekly chart, golden crossover and death crossover. We follow them on, watch them or see them on a daily chart. So on a daily chart, whenever this happens, generally that is the place when they are coming to that 50 moving day average. So when we are following there, probably we know that once it has happened, we know that it will move further down after the death crossover. So generally, I'll start accumulating once it is there. So in that range, because that is the best place to accumulate. To me, that is the best place to accumulate.
That's a perfect answer, Dr. Pratipal. Now, for everybody in the audience, let me give a very small go back, and I have a rewind when the Pratipal said that Warren Buffett said, "Buy when others are fearful, and sell when others are greedy." Now, whenever the word death crossover comes, we all get, "Oh, nahi, nahi, yaar, ye stock gir gaya." Stock will form bottom thrice after a death crossover. If you see, go and see the pattern even on daily time frame, it will form it thrice. It will form the bottom. It may reverse from the first, but second and the third is the death crossover bottom. You should never miss it, because that is where if when the stocks moves upward, you are going to make the maximum. This I had used it previously. I still use it, but provided there is no negative news. In golden crossover, once it has formed the second base, I exit the stock, whatever may happen, because from now the stock is bound to retrace. I may be wrong, since I'm not a certified financial analyst, but I do personally do this way is I'm do sharing. But hats off to Pratipal for giving a lot of insight on doing it. I will try I will make a screener on this 52-week crossovers for everybody, and I will post the link in the groups shortly. Now I will request Dr. Pawan Kesarwani to please come in and pitch in with some words of wisdom for all of us. प्रमोद बॉस आप हैं? पवन बॉस?
हाँ बॉस, हो बिल्कुल,
प्लीज।
बहुत पेशेंटली सुन रहा हूँ सर सब आपको।
जी बॉस,
इतना अच्छा टॉक था, पैसे बनाने के लिए इससे अच्छा टॉक क्या हो सकता है? उसमें कमलजीत बॉस का तड़का।
Now, I will request Dr. Girdhar Bora to also come in. I've seen him. He had unmuted. Dr. Girdhar Bora, please come in.
Sir, so I'll be asking the questions from the chat box also. Dr. Sai asked which all 5 books he can read for the beginners. Can you suggest 5 books, sir, for the beginners?
Sir, yes, sir. 5 books, sir. There are few books which I have read and found them very good. One one is that Psychology of Money I like most. The other is by Parag Parikh's Value Investor. It is Value Investing. Sorry. Then there is a book which I read and liked a lot by this Gautam Badde. You Can Compound. So these are few books which are too good to read, I would say. And then there's one book by Morgan Housel. I'm just forgetting the name. I'll share that book also. The book by Morgan Housel. If anybody knows, he can pick that name. So these are the books which I read and I found them really good, really good.
Pratipal, do you have these books in PDF formats with you?
Sir, I have in PDF format as well as, though I have in PDF format, but I love reading by hard copies. So I have hard copies of all these books available as well as I have the PDF copies.
Sir, जो भी आपके books की hard copy है ना सर, उसकी photo खींच के आप
Pratipal sir is mentioning of Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel.
Psychology of बहुत अच्छी किताब है सर. This is too good book, Psychology of Money. So
सर आप अपनी एक लाइब्रेरी की फोटो खींच के ग्रुप में अपडेट कर दो. That will be helpful for a lot of people.
Sir, Morgan Housel is another book is Same as Ever. Same as Ever is another book of Morgan Housel, but it is not about finance, but it is also a very good book. Recently.
Also, Think and Grow is also very book. Think and Grow.
Think and Grow, yes, sir.
Yeah. Stan Weinstein. Stan Weinstein has got a very good book.
So there is only one thing I've realized after reading all these books that the Marshall Link's book and so many books. So end of the day, most of them are almost talking same. After reading 4-5 books, you will realize you are repeating the same book kind. But there's
Exactly.
not too many things into it. The second slide which says that the principles are few. So after some time you realize everybody is talking about the same principle in different words. That's the only difference. Otherwise they are all talking same.
Two books which are very helpful for the beginners is the Diamond in the Dust and the Coffee Can by the Saurabh Mukherjee. It's very
Yes,
easily.
both are good. Both are good.
Both are very
good.
Yeah,
I have
Coffee
read both of them.
very good book.
They are good.
Coffee Can is a good
Coffee
book.
Can, Investing, Diamond in Dust, both are good, sir. I have read them both.
See, for me, if I'm saying is, I think about Dr. Pramod Rai and I start growing it. So for me, Chalta Firta Encyclopedia is Dr. Pramod Rai. I'm being very honest on it. His last talk at Dehradun was mesmerizing, and I could see for 1 hour and 10 minutes nobody even moved an inch in the hall. And it was jam-packed, attended by undergraduates, postgraduates, consultants from across the other streams also. So it was an open house, and at the end, everybody was asking a link for the Eurofinance group and the equity recommendation group. So I think so that was Pramod Rai sir was awesome at that time, and he was very kind to give a lecture on that in the last lecture webinar, which was 2 weeks back. So anybody wants to ask any question?
Sir, how to join Eurofinance, sir? Link, sir.
Eurofinance Group has a very restricted entry. It is controlled by Professor R.B. Subnis, sir, and you have to be a full member of the US Urological Society of India. Rest, you can just, for any other groups, you can just drop in a message to me. I will try to add you into that group. But Eurofinance is strictly restricted to urologists across the country only. They have to be a registered full member of the Eurofinance Group. Urological Society of India. This is as per the latest information I have. If it has changed, then I'm sorry for giving a wrong information, but as of now, it is only restricted to this. There is another very vibrant group which is headed by Dr. Vivekanand, Dr. Pramod Rai, Pratipal. They are awesome in that group. For that, I do have the link with me, and we do share it, but it is only open for the medicos, not for not medicos. So somebody in the chat box asked me, what is the HDFC Defense Sector Fund? This is actually HDFC had launched one of the funds which is available as a direct fund. I have uploaded a video. It's an HDFC Defense Fund. It is known as, your SIP is limited to 10,000 per month. You cannot do it in that over on a single PAN card number. And the return is phenomenal. Actually, it's phenomenal because my partner invested 6 months prior to me, and his returns are in real big numbers. It's almost crossing 75%. So he invested quite early, and I was late. So you can search it on anything. Do your research, because buying HAL at this level and other defense stocks are not very easy for us. They are quite expensive right now also.
Your short video on this SDFC Defense Fund is very, very good for anyone. They can go through that video also, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, Kamal sir,
Yes.
somebody has asked 50 DMA, EMA are simple moving. So I think EMA and DMA, simple moving, SMA, they are almost same. So they don't make much difference. So anything can be, taken, isn't it, boss?
Yeah, it all depends upon on how patient you are. Actually, simple moving average moves slowly, EMA moves very fast. So the more fast
Very fast.
whipsaws you are going to have it.
For weekly charts, I think weekly charts, they don't make much difference, isn't it? So one can take anything like.
See, for I'm writing a number on the screen. For all the medicos, you can just drop a message. I will try to add you to in a group. So it's a very easy to remember it. So you can do it. Yes, Pratipal, Dr. Pratipal, please carry on.
Yeah, but somebody has asked when to sell shares for long-term investors. So my take on this is I will not sell unless I need money, number one. Number two, fundamentals of that stock has changed, that I don't have any conviction, I have lost my conviction in the stock. And number three, if I find some very good opportunity and I don't have extra money to invest in that opportunity, then I will shift. Was anything else you want to add into it? My 3
Dr.
points.
Pramod Rai is the best person to answer this question. Is Dr. Pramod Rai, please.
सर,
Pramod sir, yeah.
until unless आपको पैसे की रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है, अच्छे स्टॉक्स बेचना ही नहीं है। पैसे की रिक्वायरमेंट है या कोई सेक्टर, जैसा प्रतिपाल सर ने बताया, कोई सेक्टर अगर बैडली परफॉर्म कर रहा है तो स्विच कर सकते हैं, बट अच्छे स्टॉक्स लेकर बैठने पर ही कंपाउंडिंग एक्चुअल बेनिफिट्स आपको दिखता है।
एग्जैक्टली सर, यही मैं कह रहा हूँ कि जैसे मान लीजिए HDFC आज परफॉर्म नहीं कर रहा है, हमने एक साल में HDFC से बाहर आ गए और कल HDFC कूद के ऊपर चला जाएगा, तब हम फिर नहीं ले पाएंगे उसको, बिकॉज फिर एंकरेज बायस आ जाता है। देयर इज एन एंकरेज बायस। इफ यू हैव सोल्ड समथिंग एट 100 रुपीज, यू विल
Yes.
फाइंड इट हार्ड टू बाई इट 150 रुपीज। बहुत
Exactly.
दिल कचोटता है उस वक्त बहुत दिल कचोटता है कि अभी तो 100 में बेचा था, अब 150 में कैसे खरीद लूं। तो then you will not be able to reboard you will not be able to board again on that stock. So that is the problem by selling good stocks. मेरी समझ से उत्तर यही आता है। प्रमोद सर, आप क्या कहते हो?
हमेशा हर सेक्टर हमेशा नहीं चलेगा, और बहुत नए लोग जो आते हैं उनके लिए क्या होता है कि हर दिन उस स्टॉक्स में उनको बढ़त चाहिए। अच्छे स्टॉक्स हर दिन नहीं चढ़ते। आप अगर 20% 25% एनुअल रिटर्न पे खुश है, तभी आपका
जी।
लंबे अवधि में पैसा बनेगा। अचानक 2 दिन में आपको 50% 40%, ऐसे 2 स्टॉक्स होते हैं स्मॉल कैप के जो कि 10% 15% मूव दिखेंगे। अल्टीमेटली
जी।
आपको 0.5 1% के मूव दिख रहे हैं तो सेटिस्फैक्टरी है कि आपको साल भर में 20% 22% का रिटर्न का अगर मिल जा रहा है। अच्छे स्टॉक्स को कीप रखिए, क्योंकि गिरेंगे तो ये उतने नहीं गिरेंगे जितने कि आपके 10% बढ़ने वाले स्टॉक्स जब बढ़ते हैं और गिरते हैं तो उसी अनुसार फिर गिरते भी हैं ये।
उसी हिसाब से गिरते हैं सर। बात यही है कि फिर वो 90% वैल्यू खो भी देते हैं। अगर वो 90% वैल्यू बढ़ाते हैं तो वो
जी।
90% वैल्यू खोते भी हैं। अच्छे स्टॉक्स ना एकदम से 90% ऊपर जाते हैं, ना ही वो 90% नीचे जाएंगे, चाहे जैसा करेक्शन है। आई थिंक
कहा भी
दैट इज
जाता है कहा भी
ये
जाता है
सबसे
सर,
ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट।
5 अपर सर्किट अगर लेकर अब ऊपर गए हैं तो सिर्फ 3 और 3.5
हाँ।
अपर सर्किट लोअर सर्किट में ही आपका पैसा वापस हो जाएगा पूरा।
हाँ, यस सर।
Now question to both of you now, and anybody who is as an expert. There are a lot of newcomers and fresh investors into this forum. I would like both of you not to overlap the stocks. Give me 3 stocks each, Dr. Pramod Rai and Dr. Pratipal, which somebody who intends to become a long-term investor. Doctors are usually long-term investors because they have a very long clinical hours. I practically feel so is this will soon change, and we need to learn the trading very fast also, and the investing also part. So I will request Dr. Pratipal to give 3 stocks, and I will request Dr. Pramod Rai to give 3 non-overlapping. You both cannot overlap. So give me 3 stocks which we can tell everybody, yes, bacha log ye le lo ab. I'm sorry for all the seniors. I called them bacha log. I'm very sorry for that part.
सर, प्रेजेंटली मैं अपना बताऊं तो मैं अगर मुझे 3 ही स्टॉक लेने होंगे तो जो मुझे बहुत अच्छे इस वक्त लगते हैं, एक मेरा है L&T, जो मुझे लगता है सब कुछ कवर करता है, चाहे वो डिफेंस हो चाहे कुछ भी हो, इट कवर्स ऑलमोस्ट एवरीथिंग। L&T जो मैं लगातार ऐड करता रहता हूँ अपने पोर्टफोलियो में। दूसरा है HAL, तीसरा है वरुण बेवरेजेस। ये 3 स्टॉक्स मैं अभी लगातार ऐड कर रहा हूँ अपने पोर्टफोलियो में।
Okay, Dr. Pramod Rai sir.
सर मेरे 2 स्टॉक तो सर ने ऑलरेडी बताया, लेकिन फिर भी मैं 3 बताऊंगा। HAL और वरुण बेवरेजेस के अलावा अच्छा स्टॉक RVNL मैं लंबी अवधि के लिए सबको बोलूंगा कि ऐड करते जाइए। IRFC चाहे तो रेलवे से एक अच्छा स्टॉक, या वैगन्स में से कोई जुपिटर वैगन या तीतागढ़ ऐड कर सकते हैं। एंड थर्ड वन इज भारत इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स इज ए गुड बेट फॉर लॉन्ग टर्म।
बिल्कुल सर।
I will request everybody to take a screenshot for this because I tried to write it down so that it is up to date. इसमें मैं wagons लिखना भूल गया था। So this is actually, to be very honest, now giving a disclaimer, out of this, I hold L&T, I hold HAL, I hold Varun Beverages, I hold RVNL, I hold IRFC. No, I don't hold IRFC or none, not even the last two. I don't hold any of these stocks. So now anybody,
I am holding all 6, boss.
I don't know, you are percentage, the percentage you get, that is not, वो तो हमारी किताब हम तो 60-70% वाली है, आप तो हजारों वालों में से हो, आप तो बड़े परसेंट में हो।
सर आपका अपना एक ना मतलब BSE 500 है तो उससे सब आ जाता है तो
Pramod, why don't you start a mutual fund? Yeah. We will all invest in that.
From my side, if I have to give everybody, I'm giving something which is, I think so nobody will have this thing is, and my funda is very clear for these stocks, and I have shared my views with it with Dr. Pramod Rai, and these are the 4 stocks, 5 stocks I invest very heavily into. Pramod Rai sir, please correct me that if I am doing wrong in any of these 5 stocks.
100%, sir. Add one also Protean, sir.
Sir, that is also there. I have already increased to, I've used the Pratipal's method and I have already accumulated over 250 shares into it. I'm planning to increase it to 600 shares. So guys, now let me give you an insight why I am thinking about these 6 stocks is where do we trade?
About these stocks, jitne ye stocks, all these stocks we have wrote on the screen, I am holding everything except 1, 2, and 3. 3 are not in my portfolio, rest all are in my portfolio.
Now, let me give you how I plan to do it. Like when I turn from a trader into investor, so I do have genes of investor also. Thanks to Pramod Rai sir, Pratipal, Sabnis sir, and all stalwarts who have convinced me that your genes need some mutation. So there is some mutation. I have this habit. I am holding a big quantity of Bombay Stock Exchange, CAM, CDSL, MCX, and SBIN. Now, my basic funda about doing is I look for what is happening around me. Where do we trade? We trade on a stock exchange. Which stock exchange share is listed? Is the only one is Bombay Stock Exchange. So whatever we may do, we lose, we gain money, but BSE shares will go up. Go and see it in history, see its moving average working. It's an awesome share. When it corrects, I immediately double my quantity. So when it went to 3,200, I exited completely because I knew it has to come down. And at 2,800, there was so much negative news. I kept on adding the stock. Same as CAMS and CDSL. If you go and see their operating profit margin is, Dr. Pramod Rai, please correct me. Their operating profit margin is more than 50%.
More than 50%.
That means 100 rupees they're earning, 50 rupees is theirs. So this is pretty high. So these stocks are monopoly and high. They are cash cows for us. Then coming to MCX, the commodity market in India is traded on MCX. This is another thing which is it. I'm not very convinced about HDFC Bank and Kotak Bank. I'm being very honest on it. The merger of HDFC Bank and the HDFC was to prevent HDFC Bank to become another Yes Bank. This is an information which I had from one of the very higher ups in this thing is. So that's why I've only kept a, you can say, souvenir of 20 shares of HDFC Bank. The rest I have all sold it and a very meager profit. So I'm not investing into HDFC Bank and I don't intend to also do it. I shifted to the real banking giant next to RBI, which is the State Bank of India. And for everybody, I'm just giving you one point to go and see back is, remember rule of hundreds. At every 100 point, it forms a base. When it was at 200, it was a base. When it was at 300, it's a base. It's a 400, 500, 600. Now 800 is the base. And the target which is coming is 1150. So trust me, once it crosses 900, it will retrace to 880 and again fly back to 1,000 rupees. So remember the stocks Pratipal has very correctly said is, I will like to thank Dr. Pratipal for telling that every stock behaves in a particular manner. If you're seeing at
Yes,
7,000
sir.
stocks,
That I
you will
agree,
make
yeah.
khichdi out of it. You watch at 20 stocks, you will know their pattern is. So anything which I missed, a Protean e-governance was a kind of a surprise element for me. The same day morning, I was sitting with, I had a talk with Dr. Pramod Rai, and I was looking at that PAN card of my son. So it was given Protean e-governance technologies powered by. Remember e-mudra, a stock which was almost at 300 or 400 levels, not showing any returns, suddenly moved and now is 800 rupees, close to 800 rupees. So don't underestimate the values of such stocks. So some which are monopoly stocks and fundamentally very good stocks, as a long-term investors, please do accumulate at lower levels. Every dip is a buying opportunity. And what they said is you should only sell when there is a dire need of money. Otherwise, it is a wealth creation. And over 20 years, for the next 20 years, we are likely to be the fastest growing economy in the world. And
Hello.
if we are not able to make our money
Hello.
grow by 10 or 12, yes, Pratipal.
One addition, sir. Protean is the main. Actually, government is अपना पीछा छुड़ा रहा है कि अपने को पेंशन किसी को नहीं देना. और न्यू पेंशन स्कीम NPS, that is, NPS is totally governed by Protean, and
Okay.
day by day our subscribers are increasing.
Okay.
So Protean is a very good bet, and everyone must keep in their core portfolio, in my deep thinking.
Uh, uh, That's a very, very good point which Dr. Pramod Rai has said. I think so. Please take note of such stocks. As today, you might be seeing that the Protean has corrected to this level. Trust me, this is a perfect levels to add on to the stock, not to exit out of the stock. Is for a long-term investor, you add on dips. And there's another way of pyramiding, but that is a risky one. But when you add on dips, you actually compound and your returns are multiplied in a multiple, like an exponential way. So anybody wants to ask any more questions, because we are already touching 1.5 hours now. We do have
Good session. Very
ITC.
good.
Sir, somebody has asked ITC, and Mr. Soman Pradar has asked for ITC. And anybody who will comment about ITC?
ITC सर मार्केट कहाँ थी आपके वेज के लिए बहुत अच्छा है. यू कैन कीप ITC फॉर इंडेफिनिट पीरियड. हाँ, आप उससे हमेशा 50% कागर का रिटर्न एक्सपेक्ट नहीं कर सकते, लेकिन एक ऐसा स्टॉक है कि ऑन ए लॉन्ग रन 5 साल के एवरेज में कभी भी आपको 18-20% का रिटर्न जरूर देगा. तो आपके पोर्टफोलियो को हेज करने के लिए ऐसे स्टॉक्स बहुत ही मायने रखते हैं.
To add on to Dr. Pramod Rai's statement is, now if you remember is, when the market falls, the ITC normally moves upwards. So this is a nice way to hedge your portfolio,
Yes.
and I call it a real turtle. I have been doing an option strangle into it for last 3 months, and in every month I have been taking out 4 or 5% out of it. This is a very simple, the video I have already put it, and this is a real turtle. It will move once or twice in a year, but then from a turtle it turns into a rabbit. Trust me, ITC is not a bad stock in any form. उसका कोई वाली वारस नहीं है एक्चुअली. कोई ब्रिटिश टोबैको कंपनी है, फिर इंडियन गवर्नमेंट है, सब कुछ है. वो उसका ना बेचारे को कोई सबने ऐसे ही छोड़ा हुआ है. वो कभी किसी को भूले भटके कभी याद आया तो भाग जाता है वो ऊपर. So it is again forming a base at 420, which is a perfect level to enter the stock.
आप सही कह रहे हो बॉस. It's a promoter less stock. There are no promoters in ITC. It's a zero promoter stock. So, but then it's a must for a portfolio stock. मेरा तो ये रहता है. It's a must.
बिल्कुल.
A must.
If there are no more questions, I will request Dr. Neeraj Agarwal to give. Achha, there is a question on Vedanta. Vedanta, there is a question I will ask both to Dr. Pramod Rai and Dr. Pratipal.
Pramod sir,
सर
do you say?
वेदांता एक ऐसा स्टॉक है जो कि आपके प्रेडिक्शन से परे चलता है, तो बहुत ज्यादा लॉन्ग टर्म के लिए उस पर भरोसा, ऑल्दो वेदांता इज ए गुड कंपनी, होल्डिंग्स आर वेरी गुड एंड परफॉर्मेंस इज ऑलमोस्ट ए कंफर्टेबल वे, बट ऐसा स्टॉक्स नहीं है जिसको आप लेके 10 साल के लिए भूल जाए। कब ये रिवर्स स्विंग करता है अपने को समझ में नहीं आता सर।
बिल्कुल सही है।
Sir, मेरा ये कि I'm not holding Vedanta and I'm not following Vedanta, so I won't be able to give much insight on Vedanta.
Pratipal, I asked its sister concern, Hindustan Zinc.
Yes.
Yes, Hindustan Zinc I am holding, and I mean yesterday only it has become my another multi-bagger. By that I mean it has doubled my investment, and I have got more than say 10% dividends per annum on this. So for me it is a very good stock, and I'm holding it kind of forever kind of stock.
Hindustan Zinc and Hindustan Copper, both from the separate year, but both stocks are really going to be multi-bagger in the future.
Sir, is it right time to invest in both the stocks, sir?
Yes, sir. Certainly, but never in a single go. मार्केट फ्लक्चुएट में जब भी आपको मौका मिले कि 5 to 10% करेक्शन दिख रहा है स्टॉक में, एक गोल्डन अपॉर्चुनिटी रहेगा। कभी भी 5 to 10% ऐसे स्टॉक्स में लगता है कि डिप मिल रहा है, कुछ ऐड करिए, फिर वेट करिए, अगर लगता है और गिरा और लीजिए, बट उससे ज्यादा नहीं। और ऐड करते जाइए। ये स्टॉक्स आपको लंबी अवधि में, दोनों स्टॉक्स फ्यूचरिस्टिक है, बहुत दिन तक एक हाइपरनेशन टाइप में पड़े रहे हैं और अच्छा रिटर्न देने की कैपेबिलिटी दोनों स्टॉक्स रखती है।
To add on to what Dr. Pramod Rai is saying, the global prediction for the copper utilization is going to be 30. I don't know the उसके पीछे क्या क्या लगता था, मेट्रिक टन्स है पर कैपिटा मेट्रिक टन में जो है, ये गूगल पे दिया हुआ है। While India is only consuming 0.6, so if you have to grow by 50 times, you can just say even if the stock grows by 10 times, your money from 388 in Hindustan Copper will become 3,880.
Exactly,
so
sir.
This is given on Google, so please do search on both the prospects of Hindustan Copper. To be very honest, I was sitting with Dr. Pramod Rai on Dehradun airport when our flight had some issues, and he told me, Kamal boss, NMDC le lena. And I told right then and there कि सर मैंने AMO, and that was 256. कल वो 276 पे था. Let's say 10%. Okay, now I will request, we are already doing gone too long. I will request Dr. Neeraj Agarwal to make an ending statement, and then we'll close the webinar.
बहुत ही अच्छा प्रोग्राम, बहुत ही अच्छा प्रतिपाल ने जो बताया है अबाउट द स्टॉक्स, एंड आई थिंक ग्रेजुअली फ्रॉम द स्टार्टिंग टू द एक्सपर्ट्स, बहुत ही अच्छा कॉम्बिनेशन है। एंड वी आर वेरी फॉर्चुनेट कि जी यूरो फाइनेंस ग्रुप इज डेवलपिंग इट इनटू एंड मेकिंग इट अ रेगुलर प्रोग्राम विच विल बी वेरी यूजफुल। एंड एज कमल हैड सेड कि जी प्रैक्टिस के बाद में अब यही जो है बहुत ही ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट हो जाएगा लाइफ में। And true, it is you become only financially independent जब आपका पैसा आपको कमा के देना शुरू कर दे। आप पैसे कमा रहे हैं अपने प्रोफेशन से, वो तो ठीक है, बट योर मनी शुड अर्न एंड मेक यू financially independent. So I think this is a very good step towards it, and we are fortunate that we are part of that group. Thank you again for this program, and we'll be looking forward to our next speaker after 2 weeks.
Yes. Yes, the information.
Thank you so much for your kind words, Neeraj boss. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure to hear you and see your views about it.
Yeah,
really beautiful talk, sir. Beautiful.
Thank you, boss. Thank you, Pramod boss.
So now we close the session. We will have another session 2 weeks from now. As per the discussion, we have 4 or 5 speakers lined up. We have Dr. Sharendra Goyal, we have Dr. Pavan Kesarwani, we have Dr. Anish Gupta. We have many speakers who are lined up to give their talks. We, in this Eurofinance, we are looking towards a long-term investment, not a trading style. This is what everybody wants it. So we will be uploading this video on YouTube. Until then, I thank everybody for their active participation and for staying with us despite all technical glitches. Thank you, everybody, and have a
Thank
very
you.
wonderful Sunday evening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Okay,
you,
sir.
sir.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good
Thank you.
evening.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.